a video for the Blended Algebra 2 class, Unit 2, Lesson 1. All right, so we have Unit 2 is about linear functions, and we're going to work today on composition of functions. Composition of functions builds off of what you were doing on your last unit test for Unit 1. Now, Unit 1, you did function notation, so things that looked like f of x. And you put numbers in for f of x, f of 3, and f of 6. Well, this composition of functions builds on what you were doing in that last unit. So there are two notations that we are going to use for composition of functions, and they look like these two in the middle here. They both mean the exact same thing, they just look a little bit different. The way you say it is the words that are underlined right below. You say this notation here as g of f of x. So wherever you see a parenthesis, you say the word of. G of f of x. Now the other notation looks a little bit goofy, but that little circle right there is the math symbol for composition. That's really similar to a plus sign, a minus sign, any other operation symbol that we have in math. It just tells you that you're going to be composing two functions. And we're going to talk about what composing functions means. Now before we start, let's talk about the word composition. The word composition, right here, that means like to create, right? To compose. So we're going to be creating a new equation and a new function from two other ones. The easiest way to talk about this is to jump right to example 1. So in example 1, I have f of x is x plus 7, and g of x is x squared minus 4. What we're going to find here is f of g of 2. Now before we start, I want to blow this up a little bit so it's easier to understand. We're finding f of, now the input for f is g of 2. G of 2 is going to go into the function of f. And I always say that that means when I look at this notation here, I take the letter on the right, g, and I'm going to put it into the letter on the left. So the function of g goes into the function of f. Right, so again, the function of g goes into the function of f for x. So you're going to actually replace the value of x in that other function. Now, notice here it says f of g of 2. So I have a number, g of 2. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to evaluate g of 2. Do the stuff that is on the right first. So let's find the value of g of 2. I'm going to put 2 in for x, just like last unit. I'll get 2 squared minus 4. Well, that's 4 minus 4, which equals 0. So that g of 2, that value right there, equals 0. So then what you do with that 0 is you replace g of 2 and you put it in for f. So then we took g of 2 and I'm going to now put it into the function of f. So you're going to take that 0 and you're going to find now f of 0, which is 0 plus 7, which equals 0. And that's your final answer, 7. All right. If I look at, let's see, the next one here, example 2, I have x squared plus, oh, I have two new functions, I'm sorry. F of x is x squared plus 5, I lost my place. And g of x is 9x minus 1, h of x is negative 2x. So I have three functions that I could be looking at here. We're going to keep practicing composition of function for the next 4 problems. So in A, it says find f of g of negative 2. So again, you always start with the stuff that is on the right. G of negative 2. I'm going to evaluate that first. Now I'm using the function of g, which is right up here. So I'm going to put negative 2 in for x into that function. All right, 9 times negative 2 is negative 18, minus 1 is negative 19. That's g of negative 2. Now what you have to do with that is now you take that answer and put it into the function on the left. So now you're going to put that negative 19 into the function of f, which is this first one. So when you have a value I'm putting in, I always put it in parentheses, negative 19 squared plus 5. When you type a negative into your calculator to square it, you want to make sure that you always put that in parentheses so you get the right value. And that's 361 plus 5, which is 366. So the whole value of f of g of negative 2 is 366. All right, let's look at b here. In b, I have h of g of negative 3. So just like the last problem, I'm going to start with g of negative 3. I do the stuff on the right first. So that negative 3 is going to go into our purple function of g times negative 3 minus 1. Well, 9 times negative 3 is negative 27 minus 1 is negative 28. So that's the first part of my problem. I'm going to take that negative 28 now, and I'm going to put it into the function on the left, which here is h. So that negative 28 goes into the function of h, and you're going to have negative 2 times negative 28. Take that and put it into your calculator. You're going to get 56, and 56 is the value of the composition. 2 more problems here, and then we'll do some practice. Same functions. I'm going to start, and I'll try to color code them the same way. I'm starting with f of h of 1/2. So this time, the function that's on the right is h of 1/2. That is the job you have to do first. You need to calculate the value of h of 1/2. So we're going to put that in to the pink function h. Negative 2 times 1/2. Well, negative 2 times 1/2 is negative 1. So you're done with that part. Now you want to take that value of negative 1 and you're going to put it into the function of f. So you're going to find f of negative 1. And when I put negative 1 into the function of f, remember you always put the value you're putting into a function in parentheses. So negative 1 squared plus 5. Negative 1 squared is positive 1 plus 5, which equals 6. That is the value of the output. All right, now D is tricky. D says f of g of h of 2. So it actually uses all 3 functions here. We're going to start on the right. Farthest to the right is h of 2. So that's my first job. Let's find h of 2. So I'm going to put 2 into h. Have negative 2 times 2, which equals negative 4. So you're good there. That negative 4 now goes into the function directly to the left, which is g. So I want to find g of negative 4. When I put negative 4 into g, I have 9 times negative 4 minus 1. Well, that gives me negative 36 minus 1, which is negative 37. All right, but we're still not done. I have to take that negative 37 and now put it in to the function to the left, which is f. So you're finding f of negative 37. This is our last step. Remember, our quantity goes in parentheses, negative 37 squared plus 5. Well, negative 37 squared is kind of a big number, 1,369 plus 5, which is 1,374. That is the value of that really long composition that we had to do 3 times. All right, that is your set of notes. What I want you to do is flip your paper over and try the practice that is on the back. The answers are on the bottom of the practice. If you need help, there is going to be a video posted to Canvas going through a couple of those problems. Watch the video or ask your teacher for help.